You are looking live at the aftermath of Front Street Fights 9, presented by Bodybuilding.com on what was a historic evening. Welcome to FrontStreetFights.com, also YouTube.com/Front Street Fights. I'm Matt Johnson here along with Mitch Coats. Man, I got to tell you, there were some ups, there were some downs, there were some lefts, some rights. All the action came out of nowhere tonight.
It was unbelievable fights put on tonight by the matchmaker Todd Carlson, and Front Street Fights just knocked it out of the park again. It was just an honor to witness that cage side. There was so many twists and turns. It was unbelievable.
And speaking of those twists and turns, let's go ahead and look at the replays as we take you through the cards and the results tonight, starting in the amateur fights with Ethan Beard and Taylor O'Neill. This one very impressive, going to round number 3 at 225. It was, round number 1, a TKO at 2 minutes and 46 seconds to Ethan Beard. So congratulations to him as he improves his record to 3-0. Our second fight of the night, Paul Crawford and Chase Peel. The first of the two Peel brothers getting the submission at round number 2 at 1:46. The next Peel brother also steps in the cage against Michael Garcia. This one was Robert Peel. This was our first fight of the night, Mitch, that went the distance all the way to round number 3. It was a unanimous decision, that is, for Michael Garcia. All three judges saw it 30-29. Our final amateur bout of the night saw Dominique Pierce get the win over Steven Starwall. That one also went the distance. This one was a split decision, actually, 30-27, 29-28, and 30-27, 2 rounds to 1 for Dominique Pearson. So congratulations to him as he improves his record to 9-3. We had 4 pro fights tonight, starting off with Abraham Campos and Andrew Cruz. This one, the win came literally out of nowhere. We talked about the turns in and out. Where did they come from? Nobody knew. Things changed at the last second. Andrew Cruz picks up the armbar victory in round number 1. Literally, you never want to wait till the last second. He waited the final 3 seconds. He picks up his victory at 4 minutes and 55 seconds. You see it right here. It was revenge instead of repeat. Colton Vaughn returns to avenge his loss, a 23-second knockout loss to Luis Cortez. He picks out the knockout victory as you see the hammer fist flying. He took a little bit longer, not all that much, 1:36. Colton Vaughn picks up the knockout victory, and the Madman is right back in the hunt. Speaking of the hunt, we go on to what could have been a title hunt or have implications for the title hunt. Matt Jones and Kerry Latimer put on a very entertaining fight. You saw the escapability there of Kerry Latimer, but in the end, it was Matt Jones taking this one the distance against Kerry Latimer and picking up the unanimous decision, 29-28, 30-27, and 30-27 was your final there. Our main event of the night was a history-making fight. The lightweight title was on the line between David Castillo and Scott Thometz. You see here in the first round, Scott Thometz, not usually known as a stand-up fighter. David Castillo is. He takes this one up in the air. He stands up and goes toe-to-toe with David Castillo, and then a little bit later on that round, and we saw it in the second round, you saw Scott Thometz take this one down to the ground, implement his game, but it was a liver shot, a very hard liver shot. You saw the after effects right there. David Castillo is now officially the lightweight champion. His victory comes in round number 3, a TKO at 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Mitch, at this point, we're going to bring matchmaker Todd Carlson back in here. Todd, first of all, congratulations on a great night of fights, and 3 that we really want to focus on, the return and the revenge. Colton Vaughn comes in short notice, gets his revenge on Luis Cortez. Everybody wants to know, and we're going to ask you the questions, what are your thoughts on a third and final bout between these two?
Well, obviously the first fight, Cortez got the early knockout, and Colton Vaughn took a lot of heat for that fight. He was favored in that fight. Cortez knocks him out. Colton comes back in and makes quick work of him in the second fight. Maybe give him a little bit of a break. Maybe let him each fight somebody else first, and then maybe bring him back for a third.
All right, our co-main event in the evening, Kerry Latimer, we talked about him. He was the wild card. I think he proved that tonight, making Matt Jones work for that victory. Of course, the featherweight title was on the line at Front Street Fights 8. It still sits vacant. It is now wide open. One would only assume that Matt Jones is back in that discussion.
Matt Jones is definitely in the discussion. He got the win. He controlled the fight the whole way. I knew Kerry Latimer was a tough guy. I knew he would make it a very difficult night for Matt. But they both did a great job. Yeah, Matt's back in the hunt. But I'll tell you what, I saw another fighter tonight I really liked was Andrew Cruz at the same weight, and now he's 4-0. So it gets a little complicated.
Well, we'll see how the whole featherweight division plays out. The main event tonight, we finally saw it. History was made. We have officially awarded our first championship. David Castillo, and what can only be described as an upset over the heavily favored Scott Thometz, is now the lightweight champion. Definitely some concern throughout that fight for several things, but what did you see and how did you feel about that fight?
I knew that was going to be a war. Scott doesn't back down from anyone. I've seen David fight live. I went to one of his fights in Utah. He's a super talented fighter, so I knew it would be a war. Honestly, I think the fight should have been stopped sooner. I was a little bit upset over that. I think Scott took too much punishment. I think he was done maybe 15 or 20 seconds before, and and we'll look at that and we'll talk to the commission about that going forward.
All right, well, definitely that means we will see David Castillo back in the cage at some point. Todd, congratulations on another awesome card. We will see you again soon. And speaking of see you again soon, Mitch, I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for another awesome night. And final thoughts before we get on out of here.
I think the breakout performances of the night really, even though the main event was unbelievable, the amateurs really impressed me tonight. They acted and conducted themselves in the cage like professionals. They came ready to rock. They came in shape, and they had really good skill. And that's what gives me such hope and promise for this market.
Well, they are the up-and-coming stars of 208 MMA. And speaking of up-and-coming, well, you want to know when the next fight is for Front Street Fights? All you got to do is follow us on social media. You can do that on Facebook at facebook.com/FrontSTFights. Also on Twitter at FrontSTFights. We're also on Instagram and Snapchat as well. That is where you can find all the information for the next fight, which I promise you is coming up in just a couple of short months. Full details will be released soon. Mitch, thank you for another great evening of fights. I appreciate it. On behalf of Mitch Coats, the Cable One crew, and the CenturyLink Arena crew, I'm Matt Johnson. We will see you again very soon. Have a good night.